Good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Marianne Howard, and today I'm going to be reading to you from Claus Hoie's 1994 book, The Log of the Whaler Helena, and sharing with you some images of his beautiful watercolor paintings, which are on display at the East Hampton Marine Museum in Amagansett. Claus Hoie was born in Norway in 1911, a descendant of a seafaring family. He went to sea, as well as his father and grandfather did, for 2 years. He studied at the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris and at the Pratt Institute in New York. He received the American Academy and Institute of Arts and Letters Award for painting and numerous awards from the National Academy of Design and the American Watercolor Society. He had more than 20 solo exhibitions during his lifetime, and his work is represented in many museum collections in the US and abroad. Hoie is associated with paintings relating to the sea, including sailing vessels, 19th century captain's logs like this one we're going to read today, fish, mammals, and the legend of Moby Dick. He was a summer colonist who eventually moved to East Hampton full-time. These illustrations are completely an invention of his. The captain's name and some of the other vessel names are correct, but the tale itself is a composite of a full whaling expedition. It's based on his reading of whaling logs at the East Hampton Library, many of which are not complete. These illustrations in the book tell the complete story of a whaling ship leaving and returning to Sag Harbor. So imagine you're a young man, maybe around the age of 15 or 16, living at home in Amagansett in the early 1800s. You head into town week after week, year after year, and you hear the tales of older men at the general store or the local tavern, and they talk about their time aboard a whaling vessel, and they've visited foreign lands that you have never heard of. And so you think about the boredom you have living in your small town, and the tales these men are spinning sound like a great adventure. And so you, like many other young men from your town, inquire about the next voyage and decide you want to sign up. But will it be worth it? You're going to decide. These illustrations, which depict the details of a seaman's daily round of endless maintenance, repairing, painting, slicing, coopering, which is wood craftsmanship like barrel making, blacksmithing, the labor of a hard chase, the task of transforming gigantic prey into thousands of barrels of whalebone and tons of whale oil, the scrimshaw boredom of the seaman's off-watch hours, all of that in periods of relative calm between the ferocious storms. Whaling logs served as official records of whaling voyage activities, and they were kept daily by the first mate. And they are another example of a primary resource that can be studied to understand a specific time period. So the book is The Log of the Whaler Helena, and the first page says that the whaler Helena of Sag Harbor in the South Pacific, 1843 to 1845, by Claus Hoie, able-bodied seaman, steersman, and navigator. Helena is actually a fictional whaling ship named after Claus's wife. So think about that for a minute. We're leaving Sag Harbor on the eastern end of Long Island, and we're traveling to the South Pacific. What's the route we're going to take? Nowadays, we would head through the Panama Canal, but that isn't completed until 1914. So we have to head all the way down past Mexico, past the eastern end of South America, around the most southern points of Argentina and Chile, and then back up the west side. So take a look when we're finished today and think about the length of time that that journey took. Okay, so our first painting. Bark Helena, Captain John C. Edwards, departs Sag Harbor on a whaling voyage to the South Pacific and elsewhere, February 3rd, 1843. Wednesday, July 25th, 1843. Commences with light winds. Midday, heavy winds from the westward. At 10 a.m., took in the topgallant sails and flying jib. At 6 p.m., the winds abated and we made sail steering east-southeast. 4 ships in sight, one of which crossed our stern, bound for the northward. With a long voyage ahead, we wonder about our fate. To be so long and so far from home and loved ones, we pray for the heavenly protection from the stormy seas and monsters of the deep. So ends this day. And each painting has its own individual latitude and longitude with it. And so I know it's a little bit hard to see, but can you see what's lurking underneath the surface of the sea there? The monster of the deep here is a whale. Monday, August 16th, 1843. Commences with light breezes from the southwest. Saw whales, lowered in chase, starboard boat struck, but lost their whale 3 miles from the ship. Middle and latter parts the same. A ship passed to the windward of us. Saw whales and chased to dark without success. So ends these 24 hours. And can you look at the size of that lookout landing the sailor has to stand on? The platform is high, really high above the sea level, and the ship isn't always steering in calm seas. And so do you think you'd be able to stand there on watch for long periods of time? Thursday, January 12th, 1844. This day begins with light breezes from the southward. Saw several sails and many whales lowered in chase. Starboard boat struck, but he stoked the boat, and the boat steerer managed to cut the line and let him go. Starboard boat struck and drawed. 1 man fell from the boat, but was pulled in. All hands safe. Wednesday, February 23rd, 1844. Commences with light winds from the west. Middle and latter parts the same. At 1 o'clock, raised a sperm whale off our starboard bow, and Mr. Jones fastened to him about 10 miles from the ship and killed him. Since it being calm, we could not work the ship to him, so the captain's boat took lines and buckets back to the whale and commenced towing him until we got him alongside about 10 at night. So ends this day. Thursday, March 19th, 1844. Begins with light winds from the eastward. Search for whales without success. Middle pair, fresh breezes, and there are heavy clouds on south horizon, a sign of bad weather ahead. Took in top-gallant sails and flying jib, steering south by west. Now heavy rain squalls. So ends these 24 hours. Sunday, April 10th, 1844. Have put into the island of Kuala Lumpur to repair the damage of the dreadful storm. It will be some time before we can return to the cruising grounds. The crew has been given shore leave. There is much to be done, and all hands will be busy with ship's work, but Seaman Johnson has been missing for 3 days. So ends these 24 hours. Thursday, July 26th, 1844. Comes in with light winds from the eastward with fog. Spoke a Holland ship, did not see her until she was within a quarter mile, the fog was so thick. At 2 p.m., the fog lifted and we raised a whale close, lowered, and as good luck would have it, we got him. At 5 o'clock, we cut in and started the works. Saw several finbacks on our starboard side. So ends these 24 hours. And thank you so much for your comments there and hearts. I'm glad that you're enjoying reading it with me here. Monday, October 23rd, 1844. Commences with mild breezes from the southward. Spoke bark Argus from Nantucket, homeward bound after 27 months, with 1,800 barrels of oil and 15,000 pounds of bone. We gabbed for 3 hours and gave letters to our loved ones at home and wished them Godspeed on their voyage. So ends these 24 hours. Now, at this point in time, our sailor has been aboard this ship for about 21 months, and you can really get the sense of how melancholic he's feeling, right? Thursday, June 23rd, 1845. Commences with light breezes from the west, including northward. Hands employed at ship's duty painting a boat, making spun yarn, life buoys, etc. Cooper and blacksmith at their trade. Spoke the Lucienne of Greenport, outward bound, 5 studding sails and 3 royals, out which have carried week in and week out. latter part light air and fog. So ends this day. And in this actual painting, you can really see the detailed work of the scrimshaw. With endless days and nights ahead of them, sailors really took to this craft. And if you've ever visited the Marine Museum, you can see our display of scrimshaw work that we have there as well, too. Tuesday, July 16th, 1845. This day commences with moderate breezes from the north. Saw a big steering outward. Hands employed in various jobs. At 3, saw Montauk light and gave her 2 guns. At ebb tide, came to anchor in 10 fathoms of water 4 miles west of Montauk. On the Narrow, we shall take a pilot and go up the bay to our Sag Harbor destination. So ends this day. And for those of you who might be watching who aren't from the East End, this is Montauk Lighthouse. Wednesday, July 17th, 1845. This is the last day of our journey. We have arrived safely at Sag Harbor Wharf with thankful hearts. Our holds are still full with 2,100 barrels of whale oil, 226 barrels of sperm oil, and 16,000 pounds of whalebone. It's been a long journey, and we are happy to see our families alive and well. So ends this voyage. So our sailor was on the ship for a total of 29 months. And after several weeks of being forced to stay in the same place, how do you think you would be able to handle several years of the same type of monotony? Do you think that the initial excitement of leaving your hometown for an adventure would be worth it? And does the thrill of the chase outweigh the dangerous work? I mean, we've mentioned men going overboard and not being found, and the tedious nature of maintaining a ship. So let's also chat for a minute about what came from the whale products that the crew brought back to port. Oil was used for both lighting and lubricating purposes, and the bones of the whale were used to make numerous useful products like corsets. Blubber, once removed from the whale, was boiled down, leaving behind an oil that was mainly used as lamp fuel, and it was also used to make soap. So this ship in this book came into Sag Harbor, but we know that whaling ships came into East Hampton too, those that were on shorter expeditions. Have you ever been to Clinton Academy on Main Street in East Hampton? There's a large bell there that was rung when a whaling ship came back into town, signaling to the townspeople that help was needed to unload the whale and whale products from the boat. So thank you for tuning in. Keep on checking out our Facebook page and our Instagram page. Their links are on our website at www.easthamptonhistory.org for more information about these and the other programs that we have going on at this time. We're asking you to send in your photographs around East Hampton at this time as we collect the history we're making today for the future. And so now I'm purposely sitting here today. Can you see over my shoulder? I have a collection of dolls in the cabinet behind me, and we're going to be working with that for a special project coming up. So stay tuned. And in the meantime, I want you to think about a recent visit that you may have had to a museum. What do you remember about that visit? Maybe you remember your tour guide or going with your class if it was a field trip. Or maybe you remember the objects or the paintings that you saw or the big labels describing everything that you saw at the museum. Just start thinking about that for an upcoming program, okay? And then tune in next Sunday, April 26th at 9:30 a.m. as I read part 2 of Ick, Yuck, Ew, Our Gross American History by Lois Hui right here on our Facebook page. And I'll see you soon, East Hampton.